Let me say a special good morning to our listeners and viewers. Welcome to another edition of To The Point, today being Thursday, the 9th day of November. Good morning to one and all and welcome. Also, good morning to our viewers via social media platforms, whether it's the Facebook page, YouTube channels. Good morning. Welcome once again, and certainly hope all is well. With me this morning, I have Inspector Hamilton with me this morning from the Fire Department, and we have an interesting subject line this morning because it's relatively important around this time of the year, and we talking fire safety. We certainly will be giving a lot of details in terms of for you, of course, our loyal listeners and viewers this morning that you can put into practice those safety, of course. This is what we're going to be speaking about a whole lot this morning. Let's take over and say good morning to Inspector Hamilton. Inspector Hamilton, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, GT, and good morning to the listeners and viewers of the GBN at home and abroad.
All right. Welcome, sir. And was it sometime last year? What was it last year?
Yes, last year.
Last year. Wow, time flies, right? Time
does.
Time flies. Our conversation this morning will be based mostly on, fire safety. And as I said in the intro, around this time of the year, there are lots of preventative measures that individuals should put in place. A lot of course, measures individuals should take also around this time of the year. Not only this time of the year, but in general, because a fire hazard or something or occur would not say, well, I'm going to wait for Christmas to come. You understand? It could not wait for Christmas to come, and so forth. So I want you to start off with some opening comments before we getting into the gist of the conversation this morning.
Prevent fires from occurring on our premises at all times. And this morning, it is the intention of it's the intention of the fire department to provide information so persons can be guided accordingly relative to reducing the risk of fires occurring at your premises. I will present information that will help homeowners and business people better understand fire prevention and steps that needs to take to keep your business place or your home safe as far as reasonable practicable.
All right. My first question this morning, the importance of fire prevention. How important is that?
GT, there is a saying that goes, prevention is better than cure.
So true.
And it is important that we always take preventative measures to prevent things from escalating and getting out of control. Mm-hmm. Likewise, the same thing happens with fire. We must take steps to prevent a fire from occurring. Right? It's essential. If you want to prevent a fire, then you must be able to prevent the materials that comes together to cause a fire. Right? So you must remember that for fire to start and grow, you need three basic elements. You need a heat source or ignition source. You need a fuel source, and fuel in firefighting is defined as anything that burns. And you need oxygen, and oxygen is really available in the atmosphere at 21%.
All right.
So what we advise, what we were trying to do now is to avoid those three things coming together in sufficient quantity to cause a fire.
All right.
And the term prevention is used to mitigate against the hazard of fire.
All right. Well, you can't prevent the oxygen. You understand? Because you can't prevent it. So is there a way of doing that?
Oxygen is readily available in the atmosphere at 21%, mm-hmm. but a fire only needs approximately 16% of oxygen to thrive.
All right.
And if you can reduce the oxygen concentration in a particular area, then it helps in stopping the growth of the fire. For example, we advise persons to close doors and windows as you leave the room.
Okay.
You understand? Okay. So that reduces the oxygen coming into the room. There are fire extinguishing agents that you can use, for example, carbon dioxide, which excludes the oxygen concentration in a particular area, those extinguishing the fire.
All right. Let's focus a wee bit on managing the fire risk. What are these? The risk of fire risk.
Managing fire risk. Mm-hmm. Is a systematic process.
Yeah.
Right. So you must identify materials.
All right.
Your sources of fuel.
All right.
Right. You evaluate the risk. So what are the possibilities of a fire occurring, and what about the possibilities of the fire spreading beyond this area, right? The potential sources of ignition. So you look at what is likely to ignite to cause a fire. So if you have broken sockets, if you have matches just lying around the place and so forth, and children unsupervised, they all contribute to that. And you look at flammable materials and other factors that could lead to a fire incident. So these are the three main factors in managing fire risk. Right?
When the process of evaluating, let's spend a little time on that, evaluating that particular risk.
Yes. So the evaluation is a process where you go through the examination of that portion of your house or your business place. You look at your sources of fuel.
All right.
You look at the amount of fuel that you have in place in that particular area. Let's say at the back of a computer. Some people still have paper and other materials there, and at the back of the computer you have a vent.
Yep.
So that the computer could be cooled, right? So if you have paper build up over a period of time, what's going to happen? You're going to...
suppressing the heat, whatever factor that will come out from the computer, not being suppressed.
And it's highly likely that the computer can malfunction, resulting in a fire.
All right.
And once the fire starts, then you have people right there. Let's bring it a little more simple. For example, in your kitchen, all right, you know your gas stove has a leak, all right? However, you continue to use it. So when you evaluate the risk is going to be high because you have a continuous leakage of LPG within that particular area. And you as the homeowner is not taking the precautions to reduce the risk as far as low as reasonable possible by getting the problem resolved.
All right.
So you evaluate the risk.
You evaluate the risk. Right? Yeah, I need to fix that stove because as I was saying, in terms we smell in the gas. Yes. You understand? We smell in the gas, and you know over a period of time you never know by just simply lighting a match that gas been smelling. You know, like it's been exposed to
gas in the atmosphere.
In the atmosphere, can ignite. Yes. All right. Now let's talk a wee bit in terms of managing the fire risk and what it encompasses also.
Managing fire risk is an additional layer to fire risk, to managing fire risk. Right? So you look at your risk assessment. Risk assessment is an in-depth look at your premises and the activities carried on there and the likelihood of a fire occurring. So you carry that risk assessment. You look at preventative measures that you can have in place to prevent the sources of the three components that cause a fire to occur to as low as possible.
All right.
You take mitigative actions to prevent that. You put together an emergency response, all right? A plan of action. For example, in your home, you have a family plan, and in the business place, you have a business plan that you put in place. So in the event of fire occur, you and your families can escape, or the persons in your business place can escape to a place of ultimate safety within the shortest possible time.
All right. Now, how important it is for individuals, let's not individual, but householders, owners per se, in terms of, managing those risks, and especially in terms of, you mentioned a lot of, risk assessment. Is it something that they should be doing ongoing, checking their homes for these risks that could, of course, show themselves up and you're not paying attention to it?
It is something that homeowners and business people should do at all times. Yes. Always carry out an assessment of the premises. Yes, you're looking for your sources of ignition. You're checking your electrical outlets to make sure that they're intact. Yes, you want to make sure that for example, in your kitchen, your stove is working properly. You don't leave matches and lighters lying around. Or you don't store flammable and combustible materials together. So all those things are risk reduction.
What would you say about electrical appliances that are left unattended for a period of time?
All right.
Is that also something that they should pay attention to?
You pay also attention to that. So we suggest to homeowners that when you're leaving your home, the only thing you should left plugged in is your refrigerator. Right? So in that way, this is the only source of ignition that you have there at the time.
Yes.
So it helps to reduce the risk of a fire occurring. So if a fire do occur, probably you could zero it Two, probably the refrigerator. Probably there might be other issues that could happen. For example, you probably might have a broken electrical line in the ceiling for the persons who have the boat ceiling with rats and so forth.
All right.
Yes, rat passing through that area and urinating on it can lead to a fire. But again, this is one that the homeowner will not be able to see. You understand?
All right.
So once you're in a position as to reduce the risk to as low as reasonable possible, then the possibility of a fire occurring is relatively low.
All right. Interesting there in terms of that with information. You know, as we getting into the utility season, and it's important around this time of the year to speak to homeowners and stuff, because you know they're getting into the concept of decorating and so forth. You know, and it's never too early to throw out some safety tips, especially to individuals of in reference to the decorative and the measures that they should take to prevent fires. Can you share some of that with our viewers and listeners this morning?
Well, Christmas is a time, you know, when people go the extra mile to ensure that the premises, you know, looks pretty. We use decorative lights, we change curtains and so forth. Right? And several things can occur with decorative lights and other electronics we bring into the home. Right? So as you prepare for the Christmas season, some people already have in place their Christmas tree and all the decorations set up. But if you are one of the persons who are behind, you know, now is the ideal time for you to look at your decorations, pull out that box under the bed, or probably on top of the closet.
Yeah, that you had stored there since last year, and then make sure it's working properly.
Take out that box. Probably you could go out in the veranda, or probably out in the yard. Sit. Examine your decorations, especially your lights and so forth.
Yes.
Check it to make sure that all the bulbs are in place. There is no loose bulbs. There is no breakage or no frayed wires in your lighting system.
Yep.
Frayed wires can lead to an electrical arc and cause fire.
Yep.
Loose bulbs, a socket without bulb, highly likely a fire could occur. Or probably a child might be able to push an instrument inside of that and probably get electrocuted.
All right.
Right. So with your lights, once they are good and working, and you put them in place, remember that when you're leaving the home, you need to turn off your decoration lights. 2, don't hang your decoration lights close to curtains and so forth, which can ignite and so forth. In fact, these days most of the people are moving to LED lights, which generates less heat. We also see now that people are using artificial Christmas trees and so forth. Yes, so the same way you're going to look at your light, you're going to look at your Christmas tree, artificial Christmas tree, because some of the trees, you just plug them in and the lights come on and so forth. So you want to examine the tree to make sure everything is in place.
All right. It's important also to pay attention, especially for homeowners who in terms of their storage. You know, for the last couple of months there, we've been the conditions way outside been very hot. You know, and of those these of course lights and so forth, the tendency to get dry rot and so forth, and you're not paying attention to them for the long storage, especially where you may have had them stored, and the risk of using them if it's not properly inspected in terms of when you want to use them around this time of the year.
Yeah. Yes, the point you're making is so true with the heat and so forth. Again, what we encourage persons is to make sure that when you're buying lights, you make sure you buy a light that is UL certified.
Yes.
Right, and if you have your light in storage for a period of time and you realize the wires or they're started to melt and twist and so forth, my advice to you is that you dispose of them.
All right.
Purchase new ones. In terms of decorations also, it's kind of costly, but yeah, we could look at probably moving into fire-resistant decorations. Yes. Most of the decorations that we use on Christmas trees and so forth are highly flammable.
Yeah.
Right, and once a fire occurs, they will burn rapidly. We have a wreath and all those type of things that we use. Right. In relation to electrical safety, what we will advise persons to do is to, first of all, the first rule: do not overload your electrical sockets.
Yeah.
Overloading the electrical socket can lead to a fire. Right? Do not run electrical lines on the carpet, because what can happen, the furniture and so forth can pinch the the cord and cause a fire to occur.
All right.
Yes, make sure that children don't interfere with your with the sockets and so forth. The possibility of they getting electrocuted is very high.
All right.
Probably you need to do is set up a safe area in your Christmas tree, so you can have an area where children are not allowed. You understand? So you don't want them to get entangled with the wires and end up being electrocuted and so on.
Right.
And it's always important to supervise your children around the Christmas tree on all electrical apparatus.
All right. We drew for a break, Inspector Hamilton. Let's take that break. We come back and we discuss more in terms of fire safety, folks, around this time of the year. And we probably could extend it to other areas when we do come back. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point for today, Thursday, the 9th of November. We're coming right back after the break. Don't touch your dial.
National Lotteries Authority is a proud sponsor of many cultural activities within the Tri-Island state of Grenada.
My name is Anderson Matheson, also known as Leftis, and I'm a calypsonian and string band music player from Carrico. I support the games of the National Lottery Authority because culture benefits tremendously. Annually, the NLA supports the Carrico and Petit Martinique Carnival, the Carrico String Band Music Festival, and all regattas, among other activities. When I play the game of the NLA, I can see where my money goes, and it's an investment into our culture.
Yes, Grenada, when you play the games of the NLA, you enable us to invest in the skills and talents of our people in the areas of sports, culture, and nation building.
Coming up on Caribbean Passport, food and rum cravings acting up? Well, it's that time of year in Barbados. Over 1,000 runners on the streets of Port of Spain. It's the newest road race challenge, a Pan-As premiere. It's all next on this station.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. To the point for today, Thursday, the 9th of November. With me this morning is, of course, Inspector Hamilton, representing for the Fire Department. Welcome back, Inspector Hamilton. On the next level of conversation I would like us to get into is, of course, talk about, the tips in terms for parents, especially, pretty soon school may be, of course, take off again for the Christmas holidays. And, keeping children from setting fires, which is important. Sometimes a vast majority of fires we may hear about is because of youngsters playing around with gadgets and things that they are not supposed to, and matches and stuff of that nature, and flammable things. Give us some general tips for keeping children from setting fires.
GT children are fascinated by fires. Yes, they always tend to gravitate towards fire.
Yeah.
The glow, the magic, the mystery in which you just strike a match and then you got this explosion and this flame appears. It's just a click of a lighter.
Yeah, grab their interest.
They're fascinated by it.
Yeah.
And they look at you over a period of time and they will try to get the matches of the lighter and to strike it to get that explosion, to see that mystery.
Yeah.
And most of the times, when they experiment, sometimes they go underneath the bed, right, in confined spaces in the house, and they light whatever it is, whether it's a piece of paper. They take the matches or the candle and they go underneath the bed or in a corner of the house, and then they light whatever it is.
Not thinking of the danger that could occur.
The consequences.
Yeah.
So it's important that as parents that we teach children the importance of or the dangers associated with fires. It is important that we do that. And one of the ways we can do that is basically through education. Right? You can do it through education, supervision, and other measures. Right? So, relative to education, right? Teach your children about the dangers of fires. Right? Placing emphasis that fire is not a toy. Right? As we say in firefighting, matches and lighters are adult tools. They are not tools for children to play with.
So true.
So children should not be playing with them. Right? Explain to them that fires can spread rapidly and cause damage to your property. You, as a person setting the fire, you can get burned and suffer serious injuries or probably lose your life as a result of the fire.
All right.
Right? So you want to teach them about that. Describe the damaging effects of fire and personal belongings. So let them know if a fire do occur, how you could damage your personal belongings, probably the house. If you have a specific toy that the child likes, it can affect that.
All right.
Right.
I mean, and that should be general conversation on a regular. You may say you're talking to them too much about it, but it certainly will.
You want to educate them about the dangers of fire.
Okay, all right.
Supervision. One cannot overemphasize on supervision. And from the fire department point of view, we have responded to several fires where children were left unsupervised in the house. And they experimented and get access to the matches, the lighters, and start a fire, resulting in serious damage, a loss of home, and so forth. So actively supervise your children at all times, right?
Yeah.
Especially when they are near open flames and so forth, you want to pay particular attention to that. Do not allow your children to play around the stove, your barbecue grill, for persons who use cool water and so forth. Make sure you have a safe distance around them. When using open flames, consider, for example, it's similar to what I was saying about the creating a safe zone.
Yeah.
Right. Be aware of specific fire hazards in and around your home, such as electrical outlets, gas stove, and flammable materials. So you want to make sure those things are properly secured and so forth. Place matches and lighters and things, and those type of things way out of the reach of children at all times.
All right.
So we're moving on. Discuss the consequences.
Yeah.
So you want to discuss the consequences of playing with matches and lighters to your children. You want to make sure, emphasize to the children that certain fires can lead to severe injuries, including burns, smoke inhalation, and long-term physical and emotional trauma. All right? So let them know that fire setting can lead to burns.
Yes. With
burns, you're going to be hospitalized for a period of time. Most likely, you're going to be in some pain. Smoke inhalation, probably maybe persons can suffocate and die, or probably have long-term lung injury, right? And physical and emotional trauma. Probably children or other persons might have flashbacks of the incidents and so forth. So you want to make sure that you discuss the consequences to them.
All right.
You also want to discuss to them the potential harm to other people, all right?
Yeah.
In the home or probably within close proximity to your pets, all right? And the destruction of property. So you want to let them know about that. Explain that intentionally setting fires is against the law.
All right.
All right? And can lead to serious legal consequences. So you want to let them know that this is a very serious offense. It can lead to serious. It can be is a serious matter.
All right. And so they should not really get indulged in it at all.
So if they start to cultivate the idea from small, and they grow up into it, probably when they reach adulthood, they might want to continue. You understand? So if you inculcate that into them early, he or she is likely to refrain from that particular behavior. Make sure you have in place fire safety rules at your homes. All right? Make a list of specific fire safety rules that are easy to understand and remember, such as not playing with fire started, not playing with fire, staying away from matches and lighters, and not tampering with smoke alarms. All right? Involve your child or your children in making those rules. Let them know.
All right.
Understand? Regularly review the rules. Right? Sit down, have discussion with your child regularly about the rules and the consequences. And you, as the person setting the rules, as the parent,
you should follow suit too, right?
Must be true to the rules at all times.
Yourself. I mean, don't feel because you're an adult, you feel you could bring the rules and one day the children to follow suit.
Yes, and you also want to encourage reporting. Yeah. So if you have 2 or 3 children in your home, and one have the tendency with playing matches and lighters and so forth, you encourage the other children to report. Yeah. You understand? And reporting is important. If he or she do not report, it is highly likely that the child may practice the same thing again and may lead up to a fire and cause the entire house to be destroyed. All right. So always remember that. All right. Encourage your child or your children to report. It's key. And at the fire department, we are very concerned about children left unsupervised, and they having matches and lighters and other things that can cause a fire within their reach. As parents, you have a responsibility to keep your home safe, and it's also your responsibility to ensure that matches and lighters and those are referred to as adult tools in firefighting are kept away from children's reach at all times. All right. Yes.
All right. I really like the part that they said encourage youngsters to report, because youngsters sometimes they don't want to tell on each other. You understand? And you as a parent, speaking to them about the risk that is involved, and they just indefinite hazard that can occur with them playing with fires and noticing another member of the family doing it and not reporting it. It's certainly important for them to do so.
With your child reporting on another child, it helps keep that child in check, the one who is most likely the fire starter. Yes. All right? And reporting again, it literally goes into, for example, fires. It could be other deviant behavior within the house. All right. You understand? So you're giving your children that added responsibility at an early age, to speak the truth, look out for each other, and to protect your property and so forth from fire.
So true, because sometimes we think the conversation of this is may not always be necessary. I don't think that's going to happen, but you just never know when a situation like that could occur. And if you were prompted early enough, the risk of saving their life, the youngster's life, and damages to the house that could certainly come in there and cause that problem to be rectified early enough.
To parents who have children or have knowledge of their children are playing with matches and lighters and so forth, you should always seek help for them. You understand?
That's interesting.
You should always seek help for them. We at the fire department are willing to sit down with your child and you as the parent and discuss the consequences of playing with matches and lighters and so forth and other things that could cause.
Because you don't want a youngster growing with that particular habit.
Exactly. You're trying to break it out from you at all age. Yeah. Yes. So he or she wouldn't grow to adulthood and continue that practice. All right. So it's important that we educate, about the dangers of fires. All right. Not just saying don't play with matches and lighters or whatever. Don't play with the matches
and just leave it like that.
But you must explain why. You understand? Let them know the dangers. You understand?
All right, so sure. Inspector Hamilton, we drew for another break. Let's take it. Then we come back and we discuss some more. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point here on the Classic Radio. We coming right back after the break. Don't touch your dial. And
box we say, yeah. GBN we say, arts and culture living, yeah. Rock the box we say. I'm telling you, rock the box, rock the box, rock the box we say. I'm telling you, rock the box, rock the box, rock the box we say. We'll be jamming here on a Thursday.
I want you to control your anger. There's a way to feel better. That's one thing to remember. No matter where you are, you can be a star. Stop and take a deep breath and relax yourself. Take another deep breath and relax it, and relax it. Eliminate violence.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. With me this morning, we have Inspector Hamilton, and we do have someone calling already. I guess they, of course, seem to have a question they may have like to ask. Let's entertain this caller. Caller, you're welcome. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. How are you this morning?
Everything is all right. How are you this morning?
Well, I just listened to the program, you know. The lighter, the matches, and the electrical city is a part in that. But what about now for these holidays or not holidays? Like mommy or daddy or brother or nephew lie down smoking a cigarette, maybe on the couch or whatever, and he might not know one around them like to tell, okay, like take the to the cigarette boot with the alcohol in the head, some of them, and if they throw the cigarette boot somewhere inside of the corner, that will cause fire too, because if you check, like in the dry season, we smoke a cigarette, walk in the street, and we throw it anyway on the roadside, and that does cause a big disaster fire. Have a good morning.
Thank you, caller. Certainly an important point there.
Very important point, caller. Thank you very much for calling and sharing. As part of safety practices, we encourage persons not to smoke in the house.
Yes.
All right. And not only smoking and drinking alcohol, but if you're taking medication that will mind-altering medication, and you smoke, it's highly likely you could probably fall asleep during the smoking, and the fire can easily rest in the couch and cause a fire.
All right.
The cigarette boot, could easily rest in the couch and cause a fire. So the caller is right on point with his comment.
All right. Let's entertain another caller. Caller, you're welcome. Good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning. I'm tuning in late. Is it a special program or an open line situation, sir?
No, it's not an open line this morning. We have, of course, Inspector Hamilton this morning. We're talking fire safety this morning. That's basically our conversation this morning.
Well, I did not get sufficient to contribute, but anyway, thanks very much. Have a nice day.
You too. Have a good one yourself. 435-2041. Inspector Hamilton, before we entertain another caller, let's there's always that bit of statistics that we always need to find out in terms of, when we say statistics, in terms of fires in Grenada as a whole. Can you share that statistics before we entertain another caller?
Yes, I can. So for the year thus far, the department has responded 260 fire calls.
Yeah.
All right. Which is an increase from last year. Last year we had a total of 206 calls. All right. In terms of dwelling house fires, we have recorded 46 for the year thus far.
All right.
Comparing to last year, 38. Business house fires, we have 8 for the year thus far, comparing to 9 of last year. Vehicle fires, we have a total of 17 for this year thus far, and 18 for last year. Electrical, we have 13, comparing to that of last year, 7. All right. Bush, we have 98 bush fires for the year.
All right.
Comparing to last year, just a mere 39.
Seemed like a bit of a significant increase in that
this
there.
year.
And I guess it's due to the dryness that was occurring for the most of the year this year.
Yes, all that contribute towards it.
All right.
In terms of rubbish, we have 40 compared to that of 33. And we have a category that we refer to as other.
Mm-hmm.
We have a total of 29 for the year, comparing to 33 of last year. False call.
All right.
That's what people call the fire station and report a fire. And when the team respond, get to the area and do inquiries, there is no fire within the area.
How concerning is the fire department relation?
It's very concerning about that because you take into consideration you have to deploy resources.
Yeah.
It comes with all the operational cost.
Yeah.
You understand? And when you respond, there is no fire. You cannot say you're not responding.
So true.
Because the minute time you don't respond, it could be an actual fire. And then you'll face the consequences thereafter. So we have to treat it as a real call. And we respond, we get there, we inquire, no fire in the area, and we return to base. So for last year, we had 1.
Yeah.
So this year, that's why we have a total of 8.
8.
Yes, so
that's a wee bit alarming in terms of individuals doing that. It may be a smaller number, just saying 8, but it's still concerning one individual would just call and make false calls related to fire.
It's a huge jump.
Yeah.
Taking into consideration that we have to move a vehicle from the fire station, whether it's St. Andrew, Grenville, St. George's, or Victoria, Sotes, Carrico, to a scene under emergency conditions, lights and siren on.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? We have to navigate our way through the narrow streets and the traffic to get to an area.
We need to find out that.
We need to find out that the call is false.
That's what. All right. Interesting. We do have another caller. Let's see if this caller, what he has to contribute, him or her has to contribute. Good morning to you, caller. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you that I am allowed on the program, or I got through to the program. Very popular, etc., that it is. Somebody mentioned something about alcohol and fire, and it brought to mind. Now, I myself, people may have heard me say, as a broadcaster, I have what you call epilepsy, what we call fits in Grenada. And the side effects of such medication is very powerful. I'm saying that to say that, well, an appeal to people who are on powerful medication. I had an incident not too very long ago, came home very hungry, said, look, let me just warm up something on the fire for 5 minutes. I sat down, next thing I knew it was about 4 hours later. Praise the Lord, the fire on the stovetop was very, very low, and there was a bit of water in the pot. So nothing drastic happened. But I'm just making an appeal through your program. Those who know that they are on strong medication, if they would have a word with their doctors as to some wiser moves to make, It was an incident that occurred with me that could have ended up in, I don't know, my house going up, at least my kitchen anyway, going up in flames. And my medication is so strong, I don't even know that the flames would have woken me up. So, I don't know if you have any comments, but I'm just making a general appeal. Those who are on strong medication, it's not just about alcohol. And when you're prescribed medication, you have to take it. You don't have a choice. So I just thank you for letting me make that comment.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning, and certainly it's a significant contribution there.
Thank you very much, caller, for sharing your experience. What I will say in this regard is that we have around Christmas time, people engage in parties from one fete to another fete and so forth. And people tend to consume a lot of alcohol. Yes?
Yes.
And normally when they get back home, they're tired and they're hungry. And sometimes they go to the kitchen, take out the food, put it on the stove, and they fall asleep. right? And the pot catches the fire. I recall sometime last year at the fire station in St. George's, we responded to a report of a fire in the south of the island. When we get there, smoke was emitting from the building. We knocked the door on several occasions, no response, so we had to use forcible means to get in. When we carried our sweep of the building, there was a pot on fire.
Oh boy.
The occupant of the house was on the couch, fast asleep. We woke him up, we spoke to him, he said he came from a party and he had a couple of drinks. And I'm sure a lot of people could speak about their experience using that. So the people were, so what we're encouraging persons, if you come out from partying and so forth, that you should refrain from cooking. Probably you buy a snack or something from a vendor, and then you go home with it and you eat. We had instances already where persons under the influence of alcohol put pot on fire. The pot superheated, ignite materials within the kitchen and cause a fire. Yes? For the people on medication, especially heavy medication as the caller indicated, it is always wise to have someone with you when you're taking those medication. You understand? Because if a fire do occur, based on the dosage of the medication, it can render you somewhat unconscious. You understand?
Yep.
And you will not be able to respond in the event of fire. So persons who are taking strong medication, as the caller indicated, they should always have someone with you in the event of an emergency or a crisis develop in the house that makes it unsafe.
All right.
So the persons who have elderly persons at the home, your grandmother, your grandfather, and so forth, and you might leave them and go out to party. Grandma or grandpa might get up in the night.
Yeah.
And a little hungry, they might put something on the fire. Alright? And they sit down on the couch or probably go back to bed and drop asleep. You understand? So we encouraging persons to make sure that persons who are taking heavy medication are properly supervised, and the persons who are going out to parties and so forth and consuming lots of strong drinks, refrain from cooking when you get home. It's best that you purchase something from a vendor and come home and eat it, or probably eat it before you get home. So when you get to your place of residence, it's just for you to lay down and get some rest.
All right. And as simple as saying you refrain. If you know you're intoxicated for whatever reason, I don't think it's a reason for you to go home and want to cook. Refrain from that. And as a caller who called in pertaining to the high medication use, if you think that you have to do something of that nature, just refrain from it. Yep. Until I understand me. Sometimes you're hungry, you think you need something to eat, but sometimes the consequences that could derive from that. Let's entertain another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, GT. And morning to the officer.
Good morning.
Yeah, well, the officer, I wanted to just ask him if he don't think might be a good idea. About 9 years ago, I was in a training with the fire police. And I brought up a little idea to them, but the answer I get, I didn't find that is what. Monroe Police Station is big enough. And I think we can accommodate a fire engine down there. If itself is not a big one, but one like the Land Rover type, so that when you have a fire in the south, that could be the first response to that fire thing. Because from the distance from town to down here, it's a far distance, and then still now you come with this volume of traffic in Grenada today. It's a real hazard. But the answer he gave me is that no, we cannot do that because if we put a fire engine down there, the sea blast. So I said, no, with the sea blast, so where the main fire station is right on the carnage where the sea is. So I find that was strange. So I think you all should look into that seriously. If it's a small one, so we can attend immediately, because we cannot always depend on the airport system. We try to do something. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution there this morning. Any response to the caller?
Thank you very much, caller, for your contribution. It is something the fire department has always considered. And let's hope in the not too distant future that we will see a fire station in the south to service the people in the Great South.
All right. We do have another caller. Caller, good morning, and how are you?
Yes, good morning. After listening to the statistic, the inspector said, so far, there were over 46 fires, and the year is almost done. So why do you wait every year for the Christmas season, the end of the year, to have this fire safety conversation when the year is over and we've had most of the fires for the year? When this means that fires that we have so far had nothing to do with Christmas lights, nothing to do with firecrackers, nothing to do with fireworks, nothing to do with intoxicated people coming from Christmas parties falling asleep. This is Christmas season, and we will not have over 46 fires in the next month. So the fires are taking place outside of Christmas season. So let us continue to have these fire safety talks throughout the entire year. It is not Christmas time the bulk of the fires are happening. So that's the first thing. Secondly, with fires these days, the government is coming in and helping savagely. They're coming in and they're putting people in hotels and they're giving them materials and they are replacing homes with much better materials and giving them improved homes, which is a very good initiative. But because of that, we have to look for fraud. Because if people realize that this is a way to get a new house quickly because the government steps in, then people will start looking into arson. So the inspector his department needs to be able to come in on the scene and be able to have sufficient equipment and expertise to determine arson at these fire places. There are too many fires taking places in yards with little boat houses, little inferior houses, and then how do we know they are not done on purpose with the expectations of getting better homes? We need to look into fraud and we need to be able to investigate for arson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. Any response to the caller?
Let me thank the caller for calling, and concerning your point on fire safety information, the fire department of the Royal Grenada Police Force continues its fire prevention program throughout the year, targeting various mediums. Yes, the department don't only use the opportunity around Christmas time to come and speak on fire prevention. We do it all year round, targeting various media houses. And as such, we encourage persons to take the necessary precautions to prevent fires from occurring at the premises. In terms of persons losing their house and so forth, and determine the possible cause of fire, we have within our department fire investigators who go to the scene to determine the possible cause of the fire. All right. In terms of the process, if persons are doing this for fraudulent means, then it means they'll be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. All right. The investigators are competent in determining the possible cause of the fire, and as such, we will continue our fire prevention education, targeting the various media houses and so forth throughout Grenada. The responsibility is to the homeowners. You, as the caller indicated, some persons may keep in the home safe and so forth, but others are not. And some of the media houses that we visit, we reach different people at different times. You understand? So we will continue to push fire prevention and safety through our various media programs and so forth.
All right. And we did have, of course, a little bit earlier in the year, we did have, of course, representatives from the fire department popping in and speaking about fires on this said program. So I understand that. Let's entertain another call. And I do have a question from someone via the Facebook page. After the caller, I'll entertain that question. I lost that caller. This individual is saying, Inspector, what is the advice you have for nationals who lives in the diaspora that usually send barrels of the electronics, Christmas trees, etc. Where the voltage difference between countries were sometimes for the wiring, and they're giving some statistics in terms of the wiring gauge, 16 to 18 gauge, and not 10 gauge, and so forth. What is the use of for wire homes in Grenada, and what advice you can give to such individuals? The package you're selling, the Christmas tree or the lights and so forth, right? Mm-hmm. It must reach to, for example, in the United States, it must be compliant with the NFPA standards. Okay. All right? So the person who purchases the lights and so forth, they must make sure that it's in compliance with the NFPA standards and the other standards that are used in the United States. All right. In these parts, we have 220. And in some homes have 110. Yeah. And so if both have dual voltage. Some houses do have dual voltage.
Yeah. So, and again, you as a person purchasing it, you must give specific guidelines to your relatives in Grenada, letting them know that this equipment use 110. This use 220.
Or just let them, of course, contact a qualified electrician who could give them the vital information that they need. Let's entertain another caller. Caller, good morning. Yes, we lost that caller. Yes, that caller was not patient enough. Inspector, there's a question that came to mind that I think we didn't speak about, because there's always that option of how do individuals, because there are times fires do occur. And I know the information you would like to share with individuals who are listening this morning, ways in which they can suppress fires, which I think is a bit important for individual listening. Someone may be in the situation where a fire occurs, the do's and don'ts, especially when a fire do occur.
Thank you very much, GT, for asking that question. Relative to ways to suppress fires, what we realize happening in most cases when a fire occurs is that people panic, and it's okay for you to panic for a few seconds. Yes. But we want you to regain your composure. Right? When a fire occurs, remain calm. Right? Alert persons in the house. Right? Shout loud fire. You understand? Designate someone to call 911. So you're calling fire first. Right? So you call the fire department, you give the pertinent information, your name, your address, the location of the structure. Right? If it is safe for you to extinguish the fire, attempt to extinguish the fire, you may go ahead.
If it's safe.
If it is safe to do so. Yeah. Right? If the fire is spreading rapidly beyond its point of origin and it becomes a danger to you, you need to evacuate to a place of safety. What we realize in most cases, people are trying to put out the fire, and when the fire gets out of control, that's when they call 911 for help. And if you call the emergency services early, the team will be mobilized and en route, and it's highly likely we might be able to save a portion of your property. Yeah. You understand? So we're encouraging persons to call the fire department early. All right. During the process of extinguishing, if the fire is producing a lot of smoke, you need to cover your nose, right, to prevent you from breathing in all the smoke and so forth. The fire burns, it produces carbon monoxide, which is a poisonous gas, and it reduces the amount of oxygen in the atmosphere, which can lead to unconsciousness and probably death of the individual. Alright? If you're in a room and the room is filled with smoke, go on your hands and knees and crawl to a place of safety. Crawl out to a place of safety. At the bottom or the floor level, there is a greater percentage of oxygen, so you can easily breathe and make your way out. And the smoke level at the floor level is less compared to that at high above you. All right. Yes. Once you're out of the building, stay out. Do not re-enter. We know of circumstances where people escape, they re-enter, and they never came back out alive. You understand? Because the time you leave the building, and you go outside, the fire could have grown, could have reached its fully developed stage, yes? And you go inside of there, you are meeting and bouncing up to a wall of heat and smoke. It's easy for you to get disoriented and lose your footing, and probably portions of the ceiling falling on you and so forth. So when you're out, stay out.
All right. We do have another caller. Let's entertain this caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. Now, I witnessed a fire time in Hobart Day in the days gone by, and coach and got burned down. The fire was a little minor fire inside Hobart's building, and the fire probably took up and it had spray with the hose and spoiling the fire beyond till it burned down. And the third coach, I mean, the building safe, they were no problem. And I stand what coach burned down flat down to the ground. The fire department opened Hobart's building and go inside and cook the fire. I wasn't a big fire then. I was around the area, I was young and I watched it, So they let the fire spread. I was spraying with the hose. The tinas, this, that, one thing spread into the place and started catch fire. And they had rural building or a restaurant there which had cylinders there. They didn't even evacuate the cylinders from there. They let the cylinders stand till they blow the whole place. I cannot go bust up in a building and cook the fire. You have sand around the area in a department and sponge. So you go in there with sand and sponge, you go dump sand and sponge and wet and you cool the fire down. I find fire in growing up for years, then I know technology at all, man. All
right, caller. Thank you for your contribution this morning. Thank you so much for your contribution. Inspector Hamilton, of course, we're getting to that state of the morning when we're about to wrap today's program. Any closing contribution this morning that you'd like to make? Anything we missed that you may, of course, would like to talk of or speak about?
Well, what I will say in closing is that as we get closer to the Christmas season and so forth, we tend to, let our guard down.
Yes.
And we are encouraging persons to keep your guard up, be aware of fire and its dangers. Right? We're not only talking about structural fires, but fires can also occur as a result of vehicle accidents and so forth. Probably malfunctioning vehicles and so forth. So not only homeowners but vehicle owners should have in their vehicle a fire extinguisher that they can use to extinguish fire in the engine and other parts of the vehicle. As I stated earlier in the statistics, the amount of vehicular fires is alarming.
Yeah.
And we want to encourage the people who are servicing the vehicle to make sure that you follow all the necessary protocols when you are servicing the vehicle.
All right.
To do with the
especially with fueling and
fueling, your power steering and so forth. Pay particular attention to your brakes and those kind of things. And while we're speaking about vehicle, we encourage the drivers to drive responsible, because we at the fire department don't only respond to fires, but we also respond to vehicle accidents. Yes.
Okay.
And most times we have to involve in extrication of persons who are trapped in the vehicle. Yes, so our advice to the people is basically take safety with you when you leave the house, and it will carry you through the rest of your journey. All right. So safety first.
All right. Great. Thank you so much. And certainly they could adhere to some of the safety rules that we did mention this morning in terms of making sure that your home is safe. You may always speak to your children about, of course, the do's and don'ts, playing with fires and so forth. Inspector Hamilton, thank you once again for being on the program this morning.
Thank you very much, GT. And the persons who need any information about fire safety, feel free to contact the fire station closest to you.
All right. Hey, folks, that's where we take a wrap for today's program. Thanks to all who contributed to today's program. However, it was your call or messages. Thank you so much. Have yourself a great day. Join us again for another edition of To The Point. That's why I say goodbye. Be safe.